Hi, my name is Annabelle Fraser, and I'm the editor-in-chief for The Wave and the president of Girls Learn International.
I'm Cassie Latender. I'm an associate editor for the MIA Wave, and I'm a member of Girls Learn International.
I am Noah Battle. I am a contributor and writer for the MIA Wave, and I am also a member of Girls Learn International.
And today we are here joined by Chief Rosano, who is the chief of police for the Marco Island Police Department. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. This is awesome. I like to be able to get out in the community and speak, especially to women who are aspiring to do things in the leadership role. So a little bit about myself. I am a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I spent my whole life there. Went to high school there, went to college there, and then I joined the police department there. That's where I started my law enforcement career.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with a department called Montclair. It's in North Jersey. I spent 25 years there. While going through the police department, I got my first master's degree from Seton Hall University, and then my second one from the Naval Postgraduate School. And then I also went to a training with the FBI National Academy and graduated from there. When I worked for the police department, rose through the ranks, started out as a beat officer, walking the beat, and ended my career there as the deputy chief, and found out about the job here in Marco Island, applied to it, and was lucky enough and blessed to get the job, and now I'm working in paradise. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
What obstacles have you faced in your years of service, especially as a woman? Is there any experiences?
So it's just interesting. I don't know if it was really as a woman, because I think, all honesty, because there's not as many women in the law enforcement field, they try to put you in specialized units because there's a need for it. So
Yeah.
for example, a domestic violence unit, majority of domestic violence, the woman is the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit easier for a police officer, being a female, to interact with a female victim.
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's 100% all the time, but I think being a woman has also been a positive thing for me, because I think it opened up the opportunities for some of those different areas, because they were looking for diversity
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
in
That's
certain types of, specialized positions.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. That's awesome.
So, have there been times where you feel your accomplishments were often overlooked in the presence of your male counterparts? Because I noticed how you said that oftentimes you feel that it's a good thing
Mhm.
being a woman, but also, as we know, it can be a lot of hardship.
I think it goes both ways. I think probably there's things that I did that may have been highlighted more because I was a female,
Yes.
and maybe my male counterparts might have looked at that and said, "Oh, well, I did that same thing, and there wasn't an article in the paper about it." When I came on in the police department in my jurisdiction in New Jersey, there was only about 4% of the department that was female.
Mhm.
So I think they were kind of looking to, like I said, put women in certain positions because it's needed. I don't know necessarily if I got bypassed, but I will say I think people do look at gender in certain areas. So for example, like a SWAT team, right? You think more of lifting people up, carrying people, the full gear on, ramming doors. Like when somebody thinks of a SWAT officer, the typical person they think of is a strong, male, dominant type of guy. But I believe that, there are females that can do those same things and just have to prove it that they could do it, and they get into those positions.
Yes.
I don't think there was really a hindrance. I just think that you have to always look at the person. It's not the gender.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
it's whatever they can do. If they could do the position, then give them the position. If they can't, they can't. So that's kind of how I always looked at things.
Has there ever been like a time where you've like pulled someone over or gotten into like an argument with someone you think they might have been like more respectful if you were like a man, or like taking you more seriously almost?
Yeah, I think that happens, but I think that happens to my male counterparts
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
they're not as a typical male, like
Right.
typical police male is what I'm saying. Like the muscles, like we have police officers that are male that are short and very thin,
Right.
and they probably don't get the same kind of respect as maybe the guy that walks up that's,
Mhm.
a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do see that.
Yeah.
But I also have seen, and this will be kind of interesting, when you go to a scene, I'll show up to a scene maybe as a supervisor, but the people and the public don't understand rank structure as much. So they'll look at the male and just think, okay, well, the male has to be the one that I have to speak to because, he's in
Yeah.
charge, and
Yeah.
not realizing maybe that I was actually the supervisor on scene.
Right.
You just deal with it.
Yeah. It comes with it.
Yeah.
It does.
That's
Um,
interesting for you to say that it goes both ways too, and that it's not
Mhm.
always a gender obstacle. It can
Yeah.
be so many different qualities. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, which is good to
Yeah.
look at both sides.
Well, if you really think about it, back in the day, they used to have, and I say back in the day, I'm saying like, 20, probably about 30, 40 years ago, they used to have height and weight restrictions. in order
Really?
for you to get
Interesting,
on
yeah.
the job. So that limited some people from actually getting on for both male and female.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you describe leadership if somebody asks you what qualities would you see in a leader?
It's funny you say that because I thought about that question because that's one of the ones you prepped me with. And I was trying to come up with something really, good to say for it. And I always find that a leader needs to be, inspiring, mentoring, leaders, people say leaders lead, but in all honesty, leaders kind of check their ego off to the side and realize what the strengths are of the people that work for them and allow them to kind of step up and lead at times too.
Mhm.
While the ultimate decision is mine, the responsibility of me, or what my responsibility is overall, is to make sure that I'm getting the right information from the people that are working with me so that we're moving in the right direction.
Right.
So I always think of it of, developing the people that work for me, and I always look at it that we're a team.
Yeah.
We succeed together and we fail together, just like any sports team does.
Yeah.
That you see.
That's a great way to put it.
In your experience, what differences in leadership styles have you observed between you and your male counterparts? Like, while working in the legal field. If you see.
What I have seen personally is there's some males that tend to be, autocratic. I told you to do this, just do it. Females sometimes I think tend to be more democratic because, like I said, we kind of try to get the input. But in the law enforcement field in general, you have to be all of them. So there's times where I can be a democratic leader, but there's times where I have to be autocratic. So if we have, for instance, an active shooter scene going on, I can't sit there and poll everybody and say, hey, what do you think we should
Right.
do? I have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think leadership styles are just based more on the person. I think the biggest thing that you do need for being a leader, though, is communication. You have to be able to make sure that when you give direction, that people understand it, and that you understand what they're doing also.
Yeah.
Do you believe that your team has responded well in the past to your leadership style compared to others?
I think that you always have to change. How I would supervise you is not necessarily how I would supervise her.
Awesome. How the lessons and skills you've learned throughout your career impact the way you navigate your life outside of your career?
I think when you get a job in law enforcement, you see the best of people and you see the worst of people.
Yeah.
You're around people during sometimes the worst times of their lives. And I think it has affected me.
Career.
I try to handle it a lot with my communication.
Awesome. How the lessons and skills you've learned throughout your career impact the way you navigate your life outside of your career?
I think when you get a job in law enforcement, you see the best of people and you see the worst of people.
Yeah.
You're around people during sometimes the worst times of their lives. And I think it has affected me to be more patient
Yes.
with people, to try to look at someone and see really what's going on with them,
Absolutely.
not necessarily just judging them by
Timmy's good.
that's okay. That
Sorry.
by not judging them by what you see. You have to really think that, you know, not everybody always tells you what they're going through at the time, and you have to have the compassion to
Right.
learn that and communicate with them to figure out what's going on.
Right. So it's definitely been an eye opener for you.
Very much so. Very much
Yeah.
so. You know, I mean, I've seen, you know, car accidents, people stabbed. I've been around people that have been victims of domestic assault, and so you're seeing, like I said, that you're being around people when they're going through probably the worst events that ever happened in their lives. You know, and you have to know how to be able to talk and communicate with them and make them feel more comfortable.
So, reversing the roles, if law enforcement was a non-male dominated field, because I've researched that it is actually,
Mhm.
what do you believe would be different?
I thought that was one of the most intriguing questions you guys came up with ahead of time. So it's hard to kind of answer that because I feel the field of law enforcement, there are times where you have to use force, right?
Mhm.
But I also feel that if it was more female dominated, you would probably see more communication, more compassion. But I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Because there are, like I said, there's times where even myself, well, I'll go to a scene, and if I try to use my nice calm voice, it might not work. There's times where I have to actually use the authoritative voice. So it's hard to answer that. It really is.
It's definitely important to have both.
Yes.
Yes. You know, like I kind of said to you when we first started off, you know, if you have a female victim, she might feel more comfortable talking with a female.
Yeah.
But if you have a male victim, he might not feel comfortable talking to a female. So it's kind of different. And also culture comes into play.
Right.
There was a time I went on a call in New Jersey, and there was a Muslim man that I was dealing with. And you know, when you first meet someone, you introduce yourself, and then you put your hand out to like shake hands.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't shake my hand, and I
Right.
didn't understand that was their culture. They're not allowed to touch another woman.
Yeah.
So at the time, I didn't know that,
Right.
but and it kind of took me back because it made me feel like, okay, he's not respecting me to even shake my hand, but he shook the hand of my male partner
Right.
who showed up to the scene. So it's those kind of things that I was saying, like you have to learn.
So, how do you choose to inspire young women with an intrigue in law enforcement like you did to pursue their interests?
I do stuff like this. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, I really get out into the public, try to find people who are interested in our career and our profession, and then become a mentor to them.
Yeah.
You know, give them an opportunity to come view the police department. Our doors are open. You come on in. We offer ride-alongs.
Wow.
We offer times in which, like a coffee with a cop or pizza with the police. We try to do these things so that we interact with people that are interested in the field and getting to learn more about it. And just having opportunities like this to come and talk. This is great for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure having you.
That was super cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
We learned a
This
lot.
this was awesome.
Thank you.
And you guys asked really good questions.
Thank
I
you.
believe,
Thank you.
so-
Thank you so much. Well, we are the Women of GLI, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.